Hello and welcome to Access Paranormal. Now tonight's a little bit of a different show because a couple of weeks ago I was asked by Dyllan Powell and Robert Ogden of the Shadow Cinema podcast to do an interview with them. Well, they wanted to do the interview with me. So yeah, no problem, that was fine. So I went along, met up with the two lads, which were fantastic, lovely lads to meet. And I said to him, is there any possibility that I could record the show as well, so I could use it? And he said, yeah, they had no issues with that at all. So tonight we're going to start the show with the interview I did with them. They travelled up to St. Helens and we met up in, I think it was Robert's flat. And away we went. So without further ado, this is how the interview went. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I did doing it. And thanks to Dyllan and thanks for Robert. And here goes.
So Jamie, what inspired you to become a paranormal investigator?
Oh, I've been asked that many a time. I think it was living with my mum, in my mum's house. What happened there was I had an experience with, it's going to sound stupid this, but I was in bed when I was a kid. And you won't be, you're not that old, but my mum used to tuck us in. We used to have blankets and not quilts, they didn't even exist. And my mum used to tuck us in. And you couldn't even get out of bed once my mum tucked you in. Right. But when I went to bed this night, the blankets were all undone and everything. So I thought my brother Alan had undone them on me. Right. So I just got into bed. You have little cobs on, don't you? So I got into bed. And in the middle of the night, I felt my bed move. And it literally woke me up. And when I looked around, I thought my mum was there tucking my bed in. Right. And I seen a woman leaning over, literally tucking my bed in. So I remember saying, Mum, and she turned, smiled at me, walked out the room and went to the right. And I know it's the right because that's where my mum and dad's bedroom was. And being a kid, you get scared, don't you? So you get up and you try and get in your mum and dad's bed.
Yeah.
So anyway, I tried to get into bed. My mum put me back into bed and I said, we'll talk about it in the morning and everything. I said, I'm okay. Went to sleep normally then. Gets up the next morning and my mum's trying to talk to me about it. And it was weird because I started remembering everything about it, who the person was. Well, not who it was, but the complete description of them and that. So I gave my mum the description. It was an oldish woman. She had like a coat on with tartan on both sleeves and around bits and pieces where the buttons and that were. Said what stood out was a scar on the face.
Right.
So my mum said, okay then. She got some. I remember getting some photographs out. She was going through the photographs and I'm like, that's the lady there. That was the lady what was tucking me bed in. That was my mum's mum.
Really? And
then when I spoke to me, when we talked about it more, as time goes on, you talk about it more, and my mum said to me, your nan was buried in a coat with tartan on it.
No way.
And she had a scar on her face here.
Wow.
And she always said to me, Mum, if I can come back in some way or another to prove that there's life after death, I will do. And even though she never came back to me mum, she came back in one way or another, didn't she? So that's what got me into the paranormal when I was a kid. And there was an interest in there. But what made me go into it more than anything was, I don't know how old you are, but in 1992 there was a film, a Halloween documentary out called Ghost Watch. And I watched that, and although it was fakery and everything else, it was done fantastic. If you ever get to watch it, it's the best I ever think was made.
I'll definitely get that.
I don't actually remember it, but I know I've seen it.
Sarah Green.
What's his name? Michael Parkinson.
That, yeah.
See?
You've never seen
I
it?
think so.
It's fantastic. Mr. Pipes and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so real. Looked, the way they'd done it was phenomenal. It was so real.
Right.
And from then on, I was like, wow,
this is what you want to do.
This is it. And that was done on Halloween 1992. That. And then in 2002, Most Haunted came out.
Yeah.
And I know people knock it and everything else, but it was brilliant. When it first started, it was fantastic. I mean, I've got nothing against them anyway.
Yeah.
And I think they brought the paranormal into the forefront of what it is today. Yeah. And you can talk about the paranormal now, whereas years ago you couldn't.
It was sort of a bit of a
Yeah.
taboo subject.
Oh yeah,
wasn't it?
you were all mad.
Yeah, it was like shunned. All
Technically, we are all mad, but you know, we're all sitting in the pitch black, aren't we? So obviously, in empty rooms, hoping for the ghosts to appear.
Have you ever had any opportunities to work with the Most Haunted team?
Yes,
Have you?
in Mill Street Barracks, they came in. I think it was 2015. They came as a public thing,
Right.
and when we had a quiet session, me, Yvette, Carl, Stuart, all went down into the cellar on our own. So we had a really good hour or so with them, and that was fantastic. We had a great time, and to be honest with you, they were really good. They were very professional. I didn't see anything. I know people say, oh, they've done this, they've done that. That's TV.
Yeah.
But on that night with them was brilliant. I had a really good time with them. So I'm never going to say anything bad against them.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Like you say, you can only go off your experiences, can't you?
Exactly, yeah. Everyone's got their own opinions, and mine was, that I had a great time with them.
Yeah.
Have you got a memorable experience from one of your investigations? Something that stands out to you as,
God.
this is top. This is what you've done it for.
Yeah.
Have you?
It was, and a lot of them I'm going to be referring to Mill Street Barracks because I was there for 12 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of experiences in there. And as you are doing now, I do a podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was interviewing somebody called Sean Kenner from Dark Territory. And he was at home, and I had my little studio in Mill Street then. And we started the interview, and it was going great and everything else. Suddenly all these things started to happen. The door opened, the room went freezing. I didn't believe in this, you can see your own breath. I thought that was all for the movies and the TV shows, and no, it did. I saw my own breath, and it was cold, and I started to get scared. Heard voices down in the main hall, and when I thought that was somebody who'd come in, so I went and checked in the middle of the show. Nobody there. There was no one around at all. Knocking, footsteps. I'm just telling you quickly because the whole thing's out there anyway.
Yeah.
And I said to Sean, listen, do you fancy me going home and recording the rest of this from home? And he went, no, you're a ghost hunter. You're a paranormal investigator, carry on with me. You're at home, I'm not. And it just went on. The whole thing went on. Basically the whole show.
Wow.
And at the end of the show I was so pleased to finish. And I love doing my podcast, and I was so pleased to finish it. And I said, got to get out of here quick, so I turned everything off, gone out the door, bang, locked it, got in the car, left my phone up in the I said, I've got to go back. So I went back. I had to come in. I was like, I'll always be respectful. I always say to people, be respectful to the paranormal, to the ghosts. You don't know who they are. And
Yeah.
so anyway, I'm going back in. So anyway, I said, I'm sorry, I'm just going to get my phone. I won't disturb you anymore. Went up to the room, grabbed my phone, locked up my scarf, and I got outside. I thought, why didn't they turn the lights on? There's light switches everywhere. I could just when I switched the lights on, got my phone and come out again. But I was in that such of a panic and nervousness.
Yeah.
I went back in total darkness.
Wow.
I could have just gone click, put the lights on and not worry.
Why do you think you went in the dark? Do you think it was that whole respect thing?
In what way?
So you said that when you went into the building you were asking questions and you were sort of saying, it's only me.
Oh,
Do you feel like you didn't turn the lights on because you were being respectful of
No.
whatever was in there?
No, because I was in such a panic to try and get my phone. I forgot about the light switches.
Right.
That's all it was. It was nothing about being disrespectful, because I've been in there daytime and nighttime, and I always say they don't just appear in total darkness, they're there in the daytime as well. So it doesn't matter whether you've got the lights on or off, you should always be respectful to them anyway. It was just that night my mind was get the phone and go. Nothing else mattered then.
When you say you were recording the podcast, did the podcast pick anything up?
Do you know
episode?
I've not really listened to it that much. I only listened to it when I was putting the beginning and the end on the thing and that. So there might be some stuff on there.
Maybe that's something for the listeners. What was the episode? Can you remember? They can go and listen and see.
I think it was episode 13. If I'm in my head, I'm sure it's number 13 or number 29. Do you know what? I used to know them all straight away. But I think 29 was with Dark Territory. I think try number 13, episode 13. But it's the one with Sean Kenner on anyway.
Right. Well, the listeners can go and see.
Go and have a listen to that. Yeah,
if there's anything on there.
It's on YouTube. Yeah.
It's quite fitting, isn't it? Number 13.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
What's your training or background that you've had to become a paranormal investigator?
There's no such thing as training.
Right.
Your training is when you go out in the field and do it, because no matter how many times you go out on a paranormal investigation, you'll always learn something. The best thing I done was go with groups and learn from them. That's training when you're learning from other people and when you're asking questions and things like that.
Yeah.
But there's no government body what says you have to do the training or anything like that. Anyone can be a paranormal investigator. So no, I've not done any training. It's experience as you're going along.
Do you think, I mean, from our experience, like nobody taught us anything, we were just like, let's go and find something?
It's the best way to do
That's
it.
the best way to just jump in.
But never go on your own. If you're only
No.
just starting out, go with a few people, don't go on your own. But if you're going to start out and you're doing the paranormal investigations, go with a group or some people who are experienced in doing it and take note of things like that.
Right.
And don't just go with one group, go with a couple of groups, because we all do it differently.
Yeah.
But never think, do you know what? That sounds good, what Jamie said or what people have said. I'm going to go and do an investigation somewhere. Don't do it like that, because you're vulnerable. Not only are you vulnerable with the paranormal stuff, but you're vulnerable on your own anyway.
True.
So these like cemeteries are great, forests are great and that, but don't go on your own. You don't know who's out there.
No.
It's a fantastic point.
Yeah. We just touched there when you said about the investigations, working with other groups. What methods do you use when you go and investigate?
In what way? Calling out, or
what equipment do you use? How do you approach it? What does a general investigation look like to you?
To me, well, when we first started, we had all the stuff, the K2s, the Ouija boards, the REM pods, you name it. We used to have all them, EMF readers. And as you go along, or in my personal opinion is, as I go along, they start to go by the wayside, unless you're at public, because we used to do public events, and public events, they all enjoy all this stuff anyway. But now, because I do it on my own, I don't use anything apart from cat balls. I might use a spirit talker just to have a bit of audio when you're recording. You can't just be calling out and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Because you've got to think of the listeners, you've got to think of who's listening to it or who's watching it. They like all them things. So we try and put in like a spirit talker, which I'm sceptical about, but it's an interest, it's something to keep your mind going. The cat balls are a visual thing. If they go off, they flash all over the place. Yeah. So we try and take a couple of things, but we also try and experiment as well. We try and do things like we have the I forgot what it's called now. You've got to record an audio thing. You put your headphones on, you go blindfolded and things like that,
right?
And try them things. But when you're doing that, you've got to trust the person you're with.
Yeah, make sure that they're not knocking on the walls or anything like that.
You're going to have headphones on and you're going to be listening to noise. You're going to get this noise, and you ask them to ask the questions, but you can't hear their questions.
Right.
So you might answer the questions with what comes through on the audio. Again, that's, you've got to trust the people, because I could be sitting there going, car, red, purple, hello, you're gonna die. I could be making them up.
Yeah.
And it's easy to put stories like we use one called a spirit talker, and you'll learn this yourselves. When you use things like that, your brain automatically starts putting stories to them.
Right.
So what you've got to try and do is try and debunk as well. Don't assume everything's paranormal. Try and debunk things as well.
That brings us on to when you get given or when you go to a location, how much research do you do before you don't?
No.
Do you just go in blind?
Yeah.
Would
I
you
don't do any
recommend that?
research. Yes, because there's a thing called power of suggestion. And if you start reading ghost stories, and if you start listening to other people's ghost stories, I could tell you all about a cemetery and you could be going there. So automatically when you get there, you're going to think, oh, Jamie told us this. So it's already in your head that that's going to happen. It's better not knowing anything. I know sometimes you can't help it. There's ghost books out there. There's hundreds of books out there telling you stories of all places. Google's got everything.
Yeah.
If you want to go somewhere and try and cut down everything, don't go there with the information because you're automatically putting stories to it.
It's a good point. Yeah. You got anything?
Yeah, I mean, it was like, again, come back to the graveyard situation that me and you went to, because we heard stories of this black monk, and obviously us two walking in, we're thinking, we're actually going to see something. It's but
the thing is with that as well, is a lot of graves here with figures on, angels, Jesus Christ, and because they're on the graves, the bigger graves. So from a distance, as soon as you get cornered there, you think that's a person.
Yeah, I mean, everyone always says that in the ruins of the tower.
Yeah.
They see the black monk standing in the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I noticed that the groundskeeper's house is quite a way off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chimney on top of it, and it looks like a person.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from the right angle through that, it looks like there's a person standing in the doorway.
Oh yeah.
I think that comes back to what you were saying, though, Jamie, about debunking things.
Yeah, you've got to go
very open-minded. So I think where we were, straight away you're thinking, well, potentially that is the chimney, and it does come back to that, doesn't it? It's constantly being alert and making. It's not really looking for things, but it's also thinking, well, how can it not be? How can it not be the paranormal?
Yeah.
Is it going to be something else? So, but I think that's like what you said. It all comes down to experience.
Well,
if you've been doing it for long enough.
Yeah. Well, I know the cemetery you went to, and we did it for the show a few weeks back. And what happened with us is we were standing next to the chapel, and we actually seen a shadow or something behind a tree, and it kept looking out. Now it's my mate what seen it first, and I was thinking, you just seen the trees blowing. That's all it is. The trees are blowing. And then I saw it, and he was right. There was something there. We went over to the tree. We had to look around the tree. We had to look. I was trying to wait because it was a bit of a breezy night as well. So the leaves were blowing and the branches were blowing. And no matter which angle we went to, them branches weren't causing that.
Yeah.
So we couldn't explain it. I'm not going to say it was paranormal, but it was unexplainable.
Do you always do that during an investigation, Jamie? Say if you see something, do you always try and go over to it and debunk it?
Yeah, if we can. We will do, yeah. We'll try and think about it first thing, was it? Or we might, at the time, think, did you hear that? Did you? When we'll go home and have a listen and think, I know what that was. So you sometimes you don't have time to debunk straight away.
Yeah.
And some things you don't hear straight away. You don't see things straight away. It's only when you go back and you're going through your footage, that's when you hear things then. So what we do then is we listen to it several times, and then like EVP. If you go onto the Access Paranormal investigate on there, I'll go through the whole footage. But when it comes to EVP, and you might hear a voice, I never ever put what I heard, because it's like, did you hear this? It said get out. So when you listen to it, you automatically hear get out.
So it's already been put in your head. So
well, you've seen them things on TikTok where it's like this word and this word.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, you're going to hear that word or that word. So it's like it's what you hear. And so I never put it told us to get out. I always just put there's an audio coming up now. What do what are you thinking? So people can think what they want to do, or if you want to leave a comment or you want to message me and say this is what we think it said, but I'll never ever say it said this.
Yeah.
Because straight away I could say to you, did you hear that? It said get out, and you'll go, oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But if I turned around and said, it said there's nout, you'll hear there's nout.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, you see that a lot on the ghost programs, don't you? Like ghost hunters and stuff. Like, oh, look at this, it says get out, and then like, they play the audio back, and then.
But they put the word up as well, so it's
so
straight away.
As it's saying it, so
you've got it
instantly in your head. You're thinking, yeah, it's right.
Well, I did a program. Sounds like I'm blowing my own trumpet. I'm not. It's just an example.
No.
I did Paranormal Lockdown when they came to Mill Street, and Katrina and Nick they recorded something on their audio, and they kept saying to me, "Can you hear what it's saying? It's saying this." And I'm going, "I can't hear it. I really can't hear it." And they said to me, "We're glad you were honest with it, because you didn't say, yeah, we did hear it. You were adamant you didn't hear it. It didn't go on the programme, but I stood my ground and said, no, I can't hear nothing. I'm not." And I said to them, "I can't say what I hear if I didn't hear it." So yeah, that's me. I won't.
No, when you're talking about reality shows, and obviously we touched on it with Most Haunted, and you've just touched on there with Paranormal, Locked In. Do you think the rise of reality TV shows on paranormal investigations, do you think it helps or do you think it harms the field?
It depends which angle you're coming in from. If you think of TV stuff, it's entertainment, and they state on the front of the programme for entertainment purposes only. They have to do that by law. Some channels say you've got to have this, we've got to, you know what a TV programme's like. Something's got to happen, otherwise people are going to get bored. So I do feel sorry for them, because they've got to go by the rules of the producers and things like that. I'm not saying that everything's like that, but there's so much out there now. There's debunkers out there who are capturing everything, and they're blasting out there, this is what this is. So that's the only way you can tell if it's fake or not fake. Another way, I think, they've developed us. It's developed us. It's give us the experience to get out and do the investigations and that. There's a lot of. It's sad, because there's a lot of people out there as well who are making a lot of money. So something's got to happen, and I'm not saying everybody does it, but there's going to be people out there who do, and it's sad because the ones who are doing it for the love of it are in being labelled with them as well, and it's not fair. But I think it depends what angle you're coming from on that question there.
So I think, obviously we've just talked about there, and you've pretty much touched on most of it, but do you think it's given you more of a platform to now investigate, because the TV shows have given it it's put a spotlight on the paranormal, where if you looked at it a few years ago, you were thought of a bit mad to be walking around in the dark in a cemetery.
We're still mad.
Because it's so widely spread now, and like say you've got your Most Haunted, you've got your ghost hunters over in America, like Zach Bagans and all that, who were constantly out. They've shone a massive spotlight on the paranormal. Do you think it's easier now for you to go out and induct an investigation without being labelled as mad?
No. No. I think it's harder now.
Right.
And I think it's coming to a point where people are getting a bit fed up with the same things happening all the time, the same styles and the same, like Most Haunted. Fantastic the way they done theirs, and they can't knock them for that. And that, I think that was the stepping stone for everybody. We're all trying to be the Most Haunted, the Zach Bagans, the Paranormal Lockdown. We're all trying to do the same thing as them, and in a way we're taking chunks out of each one of them and copying them and doing it our way, but with their input. And I think it's made it harder now, because there's thousands and thousands of videos out there now, and I go on YouTube and I look at all the other people doing it and think, oh, do you know what, that's a good idea and that. But I think it's come to the point where everything's the same, and it's harder now to think, which way can I go to not be like them? They are fantastic, but I want to do my own thing. I don't want to do what they're doing anymore, because you're going on YouTube and we're all doing the same thing.
True.
Urban explorers, fantastic. They're showing us these fantastic places, but they're all doing similar things now. So it's I think it's getting a bit saturated to what it was.
Right. Do you think YouTube's played a massive part in that? In the way everybody now can pick up a camera and play
No, I
anything
think
online?
YouTube's just a platform for us all to use. They it's not them that's played the part. They put the platform out there for us to put on there. It's just that we're all doing the same thing or similar things. So we should be grateful that there's channels like StreamYard, YouTube, and all the other ones for letting us have the chance to get out there and show what we can do.
Yeah.
We just need to now try and be ourselves and not other people.
Yeah.
Leads us on to a good question. That for somebody who wants to come into the field, what would your advice be for somebody who's trying to?
Who wants to become a ghost hunter? Yeah. I said it right at the beginning. Don't just go out there and do it on your own. Go to paranormal groups, and don't just do one paranormal group. Do 3, 4, 5 paranormal groups and gain their experiences from them. If you're happy staying with one of them, stay with them, because that's the way to go. Is safety by numbers. You meet people. It's fantastic for meeting people. That way you're going to learn, and then if you want to go off on your own, at least you've had the experience of being with them and getting to know what they're doing. I think if you go out on your own into the woods or into the graveyards or into a haunted building, you're taking a big risk because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Go and learn from those who know. There's no governing body. There's no training courses. It's just experience. If you go and research, nobody's got a certificate to say they're a paranormal investigator. They just say we're a paranormal investigator. There's no other title for us, is there?
No.
We're going out, we're investigating the paranormal.
Yeah.
We're paranormal investigators, but there's no one with a qualification out there to say I'm an official paranormal investigator.
Yeah.
But we've all had experience. I mean, I've 14 years, so I've got the experience, but I'm still learning.
Yeah.
It's one of them. You're learning every day.
No. In them 14 years, what is the most haunted location that you've been to?
Don't do that to me.
I think that's what the listeners want to hear.
Yeah. Ancient Ramin down in Gloucester. That was a really
You've done
fun
that?
one.
You've done the ancient realm.
Yeah, the Ancient Ramin. Mill Street Barracks I'm going to put up there with some of the best ones I've done. One of the best ones I've done. God, you've thrown me there. They're the only two. They're the ones straight off the head. Straight away, yeah. The Lomax, when we've done the Lomax, I thought that was fantastic. And if that would have still been going there, I think a lot of paranormal groups would have been killed to go there. Yeah. So they're the three which I can say are phenomenal.
I think you can't just throw the first one in and not talk about it. I think we have to talk about the Ancient Ramin.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
I've done it twice, and I want to go again.
Right.
The first time we went with another group. I think we just went in there with let's see what happens and everything else. And it's the creepiest thing. We saw two people scream, and I mean I've only ever heard one scream louder than these two. And these two girls screamed like hell, and they said they could feel something wrapping around their legs as if it was pulling them away. And that we were going to stay there all night till the following day. We ended up abandoning the actual investigation because so many things were going on. I was in the what they call the barn area.
Right.
And we were in the barn area, and I'm like one of these ones, I'll do the call, I don't mind and all that stuff. And there was me, Hazel, the girl who was sitting next to me, Kerry, and two other people in there. And at first I was sitting there and I was thinking, I can see sparks near the door down the other end. Thinking, but then again, this is an old building, it's probably the electrics on the, because there was a plug not too far away as well. Probably the plug sparking or something like that. So I said, if that's you down there, come up, show me your ear and everything else. And I was like, quite confident. I'll do what I'll do. Worst thing I ever did. I still can't explain it. whatever it was come up through the barn, and it just like thing happened right in front of my face, and it just like it looked like a face right next to my face, and then it just went, and I went cold, and I just thought, oh, what the was that?
Right.
So I went, oh, I didn't need that, and it did scare me. It did scare me because I thought it was. I was like, that's when I started getting a bit more serious. And then the next minute I said, if you are still here, do something, you know. And my chair started to just go like that, and I was sitting on it, wobbling from side to side, and I carried my chair going like that, and she put her hand on my chair, and she could feel the chair moving and everything, and I pack it in, stop it now, and it stopped. I thought, ooh, I've got control here.
Yeah.
No, come back, done it even more.
Oh.
So that was it then. We actually stopped the investigation there in the barn area, went back into the main area, and John was there. John, who owned the place at the time, sadly he's passed away now. He's a lovely fellow as well, John Humphreys, and said to him about it, and he went, oh yeah, that'll be the so-and-so. Thanks John for telling us it. And I never went back in there after that. This time we went up into the bishop's room, the witch's room, and everything, and it was great. There was little things were happening, but I never expected that to happen there. So that was the main thing. A couple of months later, we decided we've got to go back. It's a must. We've got to go back.
Why would you want to go back?
Because we're nutters. Yeah. So anyway, we done the investigation and everything. This time we stayed a lot longer, and he was saying, come into the barn. I said, no, I'm not sure whether I want to go in there. I don't fancy it, you know. So, oh, there's a few of us in there, let's go in. So we went in. So I thought, I'm not sitting that side. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? I'm not sitting that side in case anything. I'll sit the other side, as if nothing's going to happen on the other side. So I'm sitting on the other side, and Hazel's there with me again, and my partner Marie was there that time as well. And there was a lot more of us in that room, so I felt a bit more okay then.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere changed. And I thought, oh, this doesn't feel good. And then all of a sudden Hazel went to me, Jamie, there's 2 blue lights next to you. I went, right, okay then. The next minute, on the table right next to me, I went, right, that's enough. Sorry, right, that's enough. I'm getting out of here. I'm going back in. I'm getting out, you know. And I got out and I sat with John, and then left them in there. I went, that not for you. Too close to me, that was. But Hazel said to me afterwards, whatever it was, remembered what you are, who you are, and was coming for you. So I was glad I got out when I did. And anyway, when they all came back, I said, what happened out there? And he said, after you left, Jamie, nothing happened.
Really?
It was just silent. Yeah.
So it was just picking on you?
Well, I'm guessing so. I'm not going to say it was, but yeah, that's the ancient ram in, and it's built on ley lines anyway, so it's a phenomenal place to go. So I love that place.
Would you recommend it?
Highly.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
So that's something.
It's definitely something that we could look into.
Can you still stay over there?
Yeah, you can still book it now. Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, of course you can.
It's definitely something that we should look into.
Yeah.
Future content there.
Let me know. I'll come with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll take you up on that.
Yeah.
Can you stay in the barn?
Oh, would you want?
Say that again.
Can you stay in the barn?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
No, you
Okay.
You can sit in the barn all night if you want. You can sleep there. You can actually sleep in the haunted rooms. Yeah.
I mean, not after what you've just said, I don't think I'd want to go in there now.
I'd go in with a few of us. That was what, about 8 or 9 years ago, possibly. I'd go back. Yeah. No, I'd go back. I'd do it again. Yeah.
I think with us being in sort of in the northwest, I think we need to talk about Mill Street.
Yeah,
It's only right that we talk about it, seems we're quite local. So you were a key holder for that property, weren't you, for a long time?
Yeah, I used to take all the bookings for the paranormal investigations, what went on in there.
So what's happened in there? Tell us a little bit about it.
Where do I start with that? Come on. The first experience I ever had there was, I'd say it was 2012. Yeah, it was 2012. I can't remember the month or nothing like that. And there was 2 of us in there, and I set my camera up, and I had an audio in my hand, and we put an audio on the table. Never thought anything of it. We were down there, and the lad who was with at the time, he turned around and went, well, I'm getting out of here. We're only in there 10-15 minutes and he didn't want to stay. I said, come on, we've got the place to ourselves, let's just do the investigation. No, don't want to be here. So anyway, we goes home after about 10-15 minutes, couldn't believe it. So picked up on the audio, thought, I'm going to have a listen to the audio. You know, you can hear me, I've actually got the audio, so if you want a copy of it, you can.
If you don't mind, can we put it in this
if
podcast?
you want, yeah. And you hear me calling out and that. And then the next minute, Claire, sorry, I've said it, but you can't miss it anyway. And I thought, oh, that sounds like the word Claire. Hold on a minute, I've only got it on one audio. I had a camera there and another audio. I'll have a listen to all three of them, and all three of them picked up that voice.
Really?
Yeah, all three. Annoyingly enough, though, I've only got the one audio left, and I've kept it. And it's still good. You still think, oh, like that. And but over the years, since I've been there, not all the time, but quite a few times, I've gone there. I've heard, hello Jamie, and
really?
we left for about 6 months. And when we went back, I walked through the door. As I walked in, my son Ian was to the left, going into the wardroom. And Marie and John had gone into the main hall, and I was in the reception area on my own. And they had, hello Jamie. Like that, I looked around and went, oh. I said, Ian, have you just called me? Have you just said something? He went, no, I've not said anything. I said, right, okay. So I said to John and Marie, I said, have you just said hello Jamie? Because, he said, we're in the main hall, we can't be there. I said, something's just said hello Jamie. And they haven't been here for around 6 months. But that used to happen quite often. And people used to come in and say, Jamie, who's Claire? I said, why? He said, picking up a Claire who's near you. Now, for the 12 years I've been there, this Claire has been quite often come out when I've been there. We've put torches down and I've spoken to her, and the torches have gone off to the questions I've asked her. And then one night I was there with my mate James, we were down there and we were actually filming. We were sorting it out for filming a programme. And I said, come on, let's go down and we do a call out. And there was a lad with us. And I went, look, quick. And you could actually see a mist, and the mist was forming. And it was forming into a person. And it was where Claire usually stands. And we were all waiting for this to appear. And the lad who was with us went, oh my god, and turned the torch on because he was frightened. Gone.
Really?
Yeah. Because I always say ghosts, or whatever you want to call them, they've got feelings. I'm sure they've got feelings. Because if they can interact with you, they must have feelings.
Yeah. And
with him being frightened and switching the lights on, might have either got frightened or thought, oh, they don't want to see me, and disappeared.
Did you ever find out who this Claire was?
What we know is there was an overflow from the TB, and there used to be beds on the top balcony with children in them who had TB. And what we think it was is because through asking questions and things like that, and people believe what they want to believe, is we find that she used to be either a nurse or someone who looked after the children, and she was only young herself. How she died, we do not know. We don't know anything about them. To be honest with you, we've only got 3 or 4 significant things in there, significant spirits that we know that are there all the time. The rest of them come and go. If you think about Mill Street Barracks, thousands of people have been through that building.
Yeah.
We've got a Jacob. Sorry, not Jacob. That's thinking of somebody else there. There's a Jack, a Claire, and then there's a dog called Bruce, and a cat. And they're the 4 significant things that go on in that place. The rest of them, we can go through names upon names upon names. We have one in the boiler room who's called John, and Jonathan, who used to be with me, we asked more questions, and we got the name and his surname, which for the life of me I can't remember.
Yeah.
And Jonathan researched it, and we found that this person was a Navy person, and he's buried in St Helens, and there's a grave, and he went to the grave and everything, and we found that person.
Wow.
And he actually said his full name and what he was, and Jonathan went, I'm going to have to research this. When he researched it, he found it.
What's the feeling that you get when you go into Mill Street?
It's a welcoming feeling.
Right.
There's different feelings, to be honest with you, there's different feelings when you go in there. Because if you think about it, if you get in paranormal investigating week after week after week, you're going to go, oh, not them again. Here we are, same questions, do this, knock on here, whistle with me, throw a ball, shut the door. It's the same, it's repetitive. If you go in and, I mean, I've been there for, like I said, 12 years. When I go in, sometimes I go in and go, and we've said it, they don't want us here tonight. You can, the atmosphere, it's like if I come into your house every single day, you go, God, he's here again. But you don't think it.
That's what you do now.
Yeah, but you don't say it, you think it, don't you? So, and that's the atmosphere, and you can tell by the atmosphere. So we've gone in sometimes into Mill Street and gone, don't think we should be doing anything tonight, but do you know what, we're going to, because there's nobody around, there's nobody been here for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then it gets a bit funny then, you know, the atmosphere changes and you think, no, I don't think we should be doing it. And we try and respect that thing now. Okay, we won't do it, we'll do something else instead. Sometimes we go in and we'll go, oh, we're okay tonight, we'll carry on. And that's a regular thing where you'll go carry on and that. But you get groups coming and go, nothing's happened tonight. Nothing's happened. I don't think there's anything here. And I think, well, it's like, you know, if somebody comes into your house every single day and asks you the same questions, you're going to go, do you know what? Sorry, I'm not even going to reply to you.
Yeah.
So it depends on when you're going into Mill Street or what the atmosphere is like.
Has anyone ever been harmed or hurt in Mill Street, or has it been quite friendly spirits?
That's a difficult one for me to answer that one, but I don't believe there's anything nasty in there.
Mm-hmm.
People have said they've been harmed. People have said they've been hurt. I've been there 12 years and I've never been harmed or hurt or scratched or punched or thrown. So take it what...
Yeah, so from your
like that,
experiences,
yeah.
You haven't?
Yeah.
No.
Do you think it's a case of if you're respectful, they respect you, and
definitely
vice versa if you're a bit more loudmouthed and a bit boisterous?
Yeah, because if you go in there and respectful, if I come in here now and said to you, right, I want a cup of tea and I want to do this, I want you sitting there, and I want you to be going like that, what's going on here? I don't think so. Do you get what I mean? So if you go in there and say, right, I want you to knock on that door and I want you to do this, that's disrespectful. If you say, is it possible? Would you be able to do this for us? And ask them. They might not, but then if I said to you, do us a favour, can you get us a drink? You go, yeah, okay then. If I said to you, I want a drink, you go, I don't think so. Yeah. So you've got to treat them as the way you treat yourselves. Always be respectful, no matter whether it's with spirits or not, or whether it's with ourselves. If you're respectful, then it's the best thing in the world, isn't it? Always be respectful and always be kind where you can.
Yeah. Have you ever been harmed during one of your investigations?
Only by the ones who are living. I've never been harmed in any way.
No.
Never. I've never been hurt or anything. I've been prodded, but I've never been hurt. And no matter where I've been, never been hurt.
No. Have you ever been with anyone that has?
I've I'm not going to name names, but I've seen someone who was allegedly possessed.
Right.
Okay. And I was called up. Jamie come up to someone who'd been possessed. Yeah, okay then. So I to myself I just went, yeah, okay, fine. So when I went up there, the person was on the chair and they were backwards, their eyes were rolled backwards and everything else. And I looked, and the worst thing was they went, looked at me and then carried on their eyes up. And so, should we go for a break? And I said, let's go for a break. Like that, someone's possessed you. No, let's go for a break. Within seconds, that person came round and went, we need a break. And we all went downstairs and that. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's very difficult to say whether I've been in any way where somebody's been really harmed or possessed. I've never seen it yet. That's an example.
No.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't name names because it's disrespectful.
No, of course.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
They may believe that they were possessed.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on possession?
I haven't seen it, so I can't really.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one to answer. I'm sure people have been possessed, and I'm sure if you delve deep and want that, and you go a bit too dark, then I think that could happen. There's such thing as possessions, isn't there? Because that's why we've got exorcisms. If you go on YouTube, there's the odd exorcisms in there. I do believe that can happen, yeah.
How do you think that happens? Do you think it's from investigations where you start, like Rob was saying, being too boisterous and poking into things that you shouldn't be?
We've not experienced, and I don't know. I think it's delving too deep and doing things you shouldn't be doing, and summoning. Is that the word? Summoning stuff.
Yeah.
It's trying to, summon things that you shouldn't do. Like I said before, none of us are experienced.
Yeah.
And you can't go out there and put a pentagon on the floor and start summoning the devil, because you don't know what you are. You don't know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. If you're not sure, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's your own fault if anything happens.
Have you ever been in an investigation where someone's used things like a Ouija board?
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts
Ouija
on
boards.
Ouija boards?
I like the Ouija boards.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you think they work?
That depends.
Right, okay.
That depends. It depends who you've got on them and the situation you're in. The best way to use a Ouija board is people put the fingers down on the glass. It's easy to move. Easy to move. If you put your finger upside down, so you've got your nail on the glass,
Right. Nobody can move
you can't
it.
move it.
Right.
So I'm quite happy to go on Ouija boards or with Ouija boards where you've got your finger upside down, because you can't move it, because you're like you just said, then your finger slides.
Yeah.
If you put it the other way around, you can push anything with your finger.
Yeah.
So I'm always sceptic on Ouija boards. I've only ever seen a Ouija board once where I thought, that's a bit odd, and I was on that one.
Right.
And it only moved an inch, if that.
Oh.
I've never seen, of the years I've done it, I've never seen a Ouija board.
Yeah.
I've seen Ouija boards go like that and glasses flying over the place and that, but I'm not going to say that was paranormal.
Right.
The only thing I'd love to see is if a Ouija board was there and you put a glass on it and no one was touching it and it moved.
Yeah.
That's a different kettle.
Yeah, you can't explain that thing, can you?
No.
Do you think it takes something very powerful to move that glass?
No, I think anything could move the glass if it had the way of doing it.
Right.
Because if you think about it, if you get tapping and you can get someone touching you or prodding you, if they can do that, they can move a glass. Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything. I don't think it can be anything powerful. Things that are powerful can move it, obviously, but I think if they wanted to and they could, I think they could move it. But as soon as a human hand or anything goes on that glass, there's always that possibility that someone's pushing it. I'm not saying they are.
Yeah, but it does put doubt in your head, doesn't it?
Yeah. And this is what I'm trying to say is everything you've got to look at.
Yeah.
As debunk, you've got to try and debunk things.
Yeah.
Or, no matter what paranormal investigation you do, think logically first, because not everything's paranormal.
Yeah.
Is there any locations that you would recommend to people starting out? What's your top 3 locations in the UK?
Ancient Ramin,
Yeah.
Mill Street Barracks, Alton Towers.
Alton Towers.
I think they're the 3 I'd say.
They're the 3.
Yeah.
What projects have you got coming up at the moment?
Well, I do a podcast.
Yep.
So I've got people lined up to interview, and we do investigations. So we don't really have projects. I've got one project I'm in the process of doing, but I can't talk about that at the moment, as you said before.
Absolutely.
But we don't really do projects. We just do podcasts.
What's your podcast called, if you don't mind? It's just for the viewers.
Yeah, I've got. You're going to kill me now. I've got 3 things. I've got Access Paranormal Podcast.
Yep.
Access Paranormal Investigate, and Access Paranormal Radio, where we do the radio shows, which they're all 3 of them are on YouTube.
Right.
They are going to be changing in time now. They're going to be there for up the next 6 months, but they're all going to be merging into 2. Right. So the Investigate's going to end up merging with the podcast one. So otherwise it's too confusing for people. So we're going to try and work them around, but that'll all be announced as we go along. Everything's still on there now. So
how can people find you? What are your socials? We'll put them in the bottom of the video.
Access Paranormal Podcast.
Yep.
Or if you want to contact us, it's info.accessparanormal@gmail.com, or just go on Facebook, Access Paranormal Podcast. The same on Instagram and TikTok. We're on there as well. We haven't used TikTok at all yet. We're only just starting on, but the Instagram, you can contact us anywhere on any of them.
We can have the links that we follow.
Yeah, we'll put all your socials at the bottom.
Yeah, no problem.
No. Are you still running any tours or any sort of?
We don't do. We used to do loads of public ones. I love them and everything else. But we moved away from the pub because there's that many paranormal investigating groups out there, and there's I recommend you go and have a look for them. There's some fantastic ones out there. But like I said, don't just go to the first one. Try several, and then if you want to stay with one of the groups, stay with them. Be careful of prices. If you want to go on paranormal investigations, check out the prices first. Right. Some are quite expensive.
Yeah.
It might be worth it for some of the locations, but if one's doing Mill Street and they're charging like £60, there might be another group out there who are charging £30. Shop around first.
Yeah.
I don't like to see people.
No.
They work hard for the money. Go and enjoy it, but be careful of the prices.
Oh. Yeah.
Sound nice.
Yeah, I think that's it. You happy?
Yeah.
You happy?
Yeah.
I've just got one question.
Go on.
And this is just because I'm more into the dark side of stuff.
Go on.
Do you believe in demonic activity?
In what way? Is there demonic stuff out there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do people need to be careful when they're going into places?
Always be careful. Like I said before, if you're going into a place and you don't know that place, don't go on your own. Go with people.
Yeah.
If you feel threatened while you're in there, get out straight away. Don't.
Right.
It's exciting doing paranormal investigations. It's a brilliant thing to do. But your health and your safety is more important than anything.
Yeah.
If you want to do it on your own, make sure you've got somebody with you, or make sure if you're going to do it on your own, which I think is totally insane.
Yeah.
But if you do, make sure that somebody knows where you are and you have a phone or some kind of contact.
Yeah.
But my advice is don't do it on your own. That's all I can say. Make sure that the place is safe. Don't break into anywhere. It's stupid to break into anywhere. Watch YouTube. Watch where people go.
Yeah.
And if you think that it's safe, go if you want to. But check it out first. Make sure that you're not breaking in or going anywhere. You shouldn't be in that. there's plenty of outdoor places to go to. You don't need to break into places. And stay with people. Go with paranormal groups first. Get experiences with them.
Yeah.
Then if you want to do it on your own, fine. With somebody else. And just go out and enjoy it. But always make sure somebody knows where you are. Make sure you've got a time scale.
Yeah.
Make sure you're safe. And just basically just go and enjoy yourself. But keep them all, safety comes first. You can go into an empty building. There could be other people in there who you don't know, homeless people.
True.
There could be other people in there. If you watch on YouTube, they've been into locations and they found pot in there growing.
Really?
Yeah. So if you
careful.
feel unsafe in a building or you're not sure, go by your instinct. Just don't go.
Yeah.
There's thousands of places you can go to. You don't need to be at risk.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's really good advice.
So that was the interview we did with Dyllan and Robert from the Shadow Cinema podcast. And I had a really good time with them. And in fact, we'll be meeting up again. We're actually going to go out and do a paranormal investigation. So that should be fun with them. They've already been out once. They went over to a cemetery and they really enjoyed it. I think it was the first time they'd ever done a paranormal investigation. So we're going to be meeting up again and we're going to go out and do one for you. And then also Jack O'Lantern, who was on last week's show, I'll be meeting up with Jack and we'll be going out as well, whether we'll be doing ghost stories or whether we'll be doing a paranormal investigation or even both. Who knows? It's something for the future there. And also there's a little bit of a delay with John Kennedy coming on because he's inundated with work, but he will definitely be coming on. And also we've got the Common Mystics stories. They'll be coming back very, very well. They will be coming back as from next week, so look out for that. And also James Anthony will be joining me on the show as soon as he possibly can. So there's quite a few changes coming up in the show. We're trying to get a little bit more scheduled and formatted and a little bit of a spice up really to bring people in on stories and get out and about and where we can go and interview whoever I can. And Miri will be coming on quite a few occasions as well. So yeah, there's a few changes for you, but I'd like to say before the end of the show, I'd like to say again to Dyllan and Robert for inviting me along and going on their show, I think it was Shadow Cinema podcast, and if you get the chance, go and have a look at them. But for myself, Jamie, I'll be back again next week, and I'll see you then. Thanks for listening. I really do appreciate it. Good night.